What you will learn in this video may very well change your whole entire perception of reality, may change your whole entire perception about how you go about the manifestation process, and may very well change your relationship with yourself, understanding who you are at a core fundamental level and how manifestation can be so much easier than it priorly has been. Now, the two concepts in this video that I am going to be fusing together are kind of esoteric. One not so much, one a little bit more. I had this epiphany last night as I was going deeper in reading the teachings of Neville Goddard. You ever heard of Neville Goddard? He's like an old school law of attraction teacher that also connected this divine component to it, where he talked a lot about that of imagination. He talked a lot about that of God source energy inside of ourselves and how to become one with the divine. You know, I read his books back like 3 or 4 years ago. One book in particular, it's called Feeling is the Secret, which is all about feeling the emotion and as if you are the version of you choose to be as you're going to bed at night. Because as you're going to sleep at night, there is this window into your subconscious that you can begin to program. And the idea is that 95% of our life is ran by our subconscious. And the idea behind this like 60-something page book was if you feel and visualize yourself as being the version of you prefer to be, as you're going to bed every night, you begin to reform your self-concept and reform your sense of reality. Now, where things got really interesting for me and where the epiphany is when I combined what I'm learning with that of the old school teachings of Neville Goddard with that of the teachings of understanding parallel realities. Now, parallel realities is this concept that quantum physics is beginning to learn more and more about every year. But the idea is that there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist. And whatever you want to create in your life, you don't have to really create it. It already exists. It's more about energetically tuning to that version of you so that then you can perceive of that reality. Now, the idea also behind parallel realities is that because this moment is the only moment that exists and there's an infinite number of parallel realities, the past doesn't have to be something that influences you in the present moment that you think it does. Now, even there's this common principle from Neville Goddard that is called revision. Revision is a manifestation technique that is very powerful, where what you do is you visualize something that has happened in your past, and you can also do this for something in your future or in this moment right now. And Neville Goddard does talk about this moment right now of like feeling it and being it. But the idea of revision is to look at something in your past and then to replay it and to revise it into a new, different type of experience that actually enhances your present moment right now. So for example, if there was something that maybe happened in your past where you feel like maybe you were in a certain situation, you were maybe very much a people pleaser, and you kind of were angry at your past self, and you kind of regretted the way that you responded to someone else when you were going through a certain experience. What you could do is you could revise that and to visualize yourself actually being in that experience and responding in a way where you were in your own power. And the idea is that if you do that with repetition, you begin to literally reframe that energy inside of yourself. Now, here's what quantum physics shows us. Here's what psychology shows us. Every time we remember something from the past, we take it out of our memory bank, we take the memory out, we look at it, we change it. Minutely change it, maybe even drastically change it with like this revision process, but we do it anyways. We remember something from the past, we change it and overlay it with our beliefs and our emotions about it, and then we put it back into the memory bank, and every time we do that, the memory is changed slightly. By the time something has happened 1,000 times, or by the time something happens and you remember it, sometimes 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. When people repetitiously think about the past, it's a completely different memory. It's not even what happened anyways. So we're doing this already. I'm not trying to say like, oh, this is what a technique we should use. Like, you are already going to do this whether you're aware of it or not. Just like whether you believe in parallel realities or not, movement is the shifting through different parallel realities. So it's something you already naturally do. The question is, how can I create a greater degree of change from the reality I'm in to the reality I quote unquote want? So what I find interesting here is just to kind of summarize these two perspectives that actually enhance each other. The present moment is the only moment that exists right now. Based on the energy and the emotions and your beliefs about it, that is what determines the reality through which you perceive. A lot of what Neville Goddard talks about also in his books, and there are many of them, is how our outer reality is just a reflection of our inner mental mind. This is something the Hermetic principles talk about. This is something so many different areas of philosophy and Eastern thought have talked about. Our reality is a direct reflection of our relationship to ourselves and what's going on inside our mind. Now, this gets tricky because a lot of times what we're primed to do is if we want to change something in our reality, what do? We go out and we try to change it. We say, I always attract this kind of person into my life. I need to change that. Or I always attract like a certain level of scarcity. I need to change that. I need to work a little bit harder and then I'll get more money or abundance. When really, all that is a reflection of some inner belief about the self. Inner, as Neville Goddard would talk about, like your mental diet. Your mental diet, what you are consuming inside of your mind, what thoughts you are repetitiously thinking, colors your perception of the world. Now let's bring this back even more practical. Now, when it comes to, now I would say I actually did this in 2017 when I went full-time on YouTube. I'm thinking of the concept and what Neville Goddard talks about with imagination. Use your imagination much more to create what you want in your reality. This isn't just wishful thinking. This is using your imagination of understanding. If you were to imagine a ladder going up to heaven, what we could call heaven, because also heaven and hell, from what Neville Goddard teaches, is a level of consciousness that we can create in the present moment right now. But the idea, the metaphor of going up to the clouds is a ladder. And our connection to the divine, that ladder represents our imagination. Our ability to imagine something Einstein talked about. There's common themes with everything I'm sharing with you with different thought leaders and different trains of thought. I'm thinking of like all these different trains of thought that correlate with this. Your imagination, though, imagining the version of you and giving yourself permission to be the version of you that you prefer to be because you prefer to be it, not just because it's going to get you a different reality. But in 2017, when I was living at my dad's house, I imagined myself and I connected to that divine part of myself. And I imagined what the version of Aaron, what the parallel reality version of Aaron that already exists, what that version of me was thinking, feeling, and doing as a full-time YouTuber. Because I knew that was my highest vibrational expression at the time. And what I noticed is that version of me was making videos every single day. And then there was a download from my higher self, whatever you want to call it, that said, make a video every single day, your life will transform. I trusted that. I did that every single day. I learned as I went. There were skills I developed. I had to learn how to edit thumbnails. I had to learn how to edit. I committed to that version of me. I activated parallel reality. I activated that timeline the moment I chose to be it. So in the same way that I use my imagination and the connection to thinking, feeling, and acting as that version of me, knowing it already exists, I gave myself permission to be it. Not once I have 100,000 subs, then I'm a YouTuber. I said, I'm a full-time YouTuber now. I embodied it. Remember, you get in life a direct reflection of who you are being. And if for a year you say, I'm not going to be a YouTuber until I've done it for a year, then you're not being the vibration of a YouTuber, you're being the vibration of someone that will be a YouTuber one day. Look, parallel reality, or that of Neville Goddard's teachings, same thing. It's like you're waiting, you're not activating it, you're not being it, it's in the future. When I decided to be it in February 13th, 2017, or whenever I committed to the videos, that's when my life began to change. That's when I activated that timeline in accordance with the parallel reality teachings, and that's when I started to be and feel as a new version of myself. Now, when I first learned about this idea of the self-concept, which is something Neville Goddard talks about, this idea of the self-image, I actually read a book called Psycho-Cybernetics back in 2011 or 2012 when I was first learning about the law of attraction, and I realized that my self-image, working that 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes, was that I was an average sales employee. Every day I went into work, it was right in the middle of the list of the top of the sales the day before because it was posted in the back, selling women's shoes at Nordstrom's. And I remember going in there, realizing, I asked myself, what is my self-image? And you can ask yourself this question, what is your self-image? And just look around your life to see what are you experiencing. If your self-image is that I work a 9-to-5 job. Okay, well that's part of your self-image. I don't believe I'm worthy of a relationship. That's part of your self-image. Or I'm in a relationship that I don't want to be in. Probably that's your standard for a relationship that you're allowing. It's all equal to the self-image we have. So the self-image I had of being of a 9-to-5 job goer in 2017 to then being a YouTuber, I made a shift instantly. In 2011, when I learned about this self-image, I imagined Neville Goddard. I imagined the version of me that was a top salesperson. The version of me that was a top salesperson greeted every customer. The version of me that's a top salesperson connected with people emotionally. That top selling version of Aaron brought out more than just one shoe. If they asked for a shoe, I'd bring out more. I had the courage to show them other things. And guess what? Having that energy created and activated a new version of myself. Within days of giving myself permission to be a top salesperson and living by my own ideals and values as that version of me, I was consistently at the top of that list. It changed my self-concept about myself. That happened very quickly. I used that same philosophy to become a full-time YouTuber. Self-concept, my connection to thinking, being, and feeling as that new version of me. Parallel reality. I activated the version of me that already existed. I didn't have to create it. Think about it. You got to create something. Not realizing that we're all divine spiritual beings. Everything you see in reality is a reflection of the self, and it's like it already exists. It's just waiting for you to activate it. It's like a radio dial. Your body and who you are being is like the dial, and the frequency already exists. Like a radio, the frequencies are all in the room. The radio tunes to the frequency, and then it picks up on it. It activates it. And that's what we can listen to. In the same way, the reality you want to experience already exists. It's waiting for you to give yourself permission to be it, to feel as that version of you, to make the choice that that's who you are. The parallel reality that I'm talking about is also, you can do that in meditation. Extremely powerful to do this kind of work in meditation. Not only does meditation connect you to your imagination and allow you to go into different subconscious patterns. This is why I was so influenced by those meditation CDs that my grandpa told me to listen to forever ago. I have a whole video on the CIA documents and all that called the Gateway Experience. Because it was a way of getting to a relaxed state, something Neville Goddard talks a lot about, and then using your imagination to reveal different aspects of your consciousness. So what I've done is take those and add that concept of my meditations are normally very subconscious mind activating with symbols and metaphors. You may get in a chair and allow this chair to activate energy inside of yourself to give yourself permission to express a new energy out in the world. It's all a metaphor. You could be climbing a ladder in a meditation, going towards the divine to connect with your higher self. It's all a metaphor. Our imagination is the doorway to the divine aspects of ourself. So realize that you can give yourself permission to be it. The reality already exists. It's simply waiting for you to activate it. I activated the spark inside of myself of being a full-time YouTuber in 2017, and now I live my dream life. You can do the same thing. You just have to commit to that version of you and realize it already exists. It's about making the choice. making the choice and feeling it now, being it now, not waiting. Every moment's a new moment, every moment you're a new you. Now, if you haven't downloaded the meditation yet for your level of consciousness to raise it up to the next level, go to whatsmyvibration.com, get a meditation tailored to your level of consciousness. And then also, if you have not done the Shift into a Parallel Reality meditation yet, it's been downloaded or listened to over 2 million times. Read the comments to see what's possible. Or maybe it's 1 million times, but regardless, read the comments to see what's possible, do the meditation, and then comment below your experience and let me know. Here's the video right here.